They told you muscle is built with protein. More grams, more shakes, more scoops. But what if the real secret to muscle growth isn't how much protein you swallow, but the biological environment your body enters when the lights go out and your head hits the pillow? Because muscle is not built under fluorescent gym lights. It is rebuilt in darkness. And the difference between waking up stronger or waking up inflamed comes down to something most people overlook: the recovery environment inside your cells. Every time you train hard, you are not building muscle. You are damaging it. You create micro tears in muscle fibers. You spike cortisol. You increase oxidative stress. You trigger inflammation. The gym is the stimulus. Sleep is the construction site. And construction requires more than bricks. It requires electrical wiring, insulation, airflow, and structural integrity. Protein is just the bricks. Almonds help regulate the entire construction environment. Let's start with something almost nobody talks about: magnesium deficiency. Research estimates that nearly half of adults do not meet optimal magnesium intake. Magnesium is not just a relaxation mineral. It is required for over 300 enzymatic reactions in the body, including ATP production, the literal energy currency your muscle cells use to repair themselves. Without adequate magnesium, ATP cannot function properly, and without ATP, muscle protein synthesis slows down. Studies show that magnesium status correlates with testosterone levels, especially in active individuals. Low magnesium has been associated with reduced anabolic hormone activity. That means you could be training perfectly, consuming enough protein, and still under-recovering because the mineral foundation isn't there. Almonds are one of the richest whole food sources of magnesium. A single handful delivers a meaningful dose of this critical mineral. When consumed in the evening, magnesium supports parasympathetic nervous system activation, the rest and repair state. Deep sleep stages, especially slow-wave sleep, are when growth hormone pulses naturally peak. Growth hormone drives tissue repair, fat metabolism, and cellular regeneration. If your nervous system remains wired, stressed, or mineral depleted, that growth hormone pulse is blunted. Almonds don't just feed muscle, they help your body enter the state where muscle can actually rebuild. Now consider oxidative stress. Intense resistance training dramatically increases reactive oxygen species inside muscle tissue. In small amounts, that's adaptive. In excess, it becomes destructive. Oxidative damage can impair cell membranes, slow recovery, and increase soreness duration. Vitamin E is one of the most powerful fat-soluble antioxidants in human physiology, protecting cell membranes from lipid peroxidation. Almonds are one of the highest natural food sources of vitamin E. When muscle cells are protected from excessive oxidative damage, they recover faster and maintain structural integrity. That means less prolonged soreness, better training frequency, more consistent gains. Then there's blood flow. Almonds contain L-arginine, a precursor to nitric oxide. Nitric oxide relaxes blood vessels and enhances circulation. During recovery, enhanced circulation improves delivery of amino acids, glucose, oxygen, and micronutrients to damaged muscle fibers. Most people chase nitric oxide with synthetic pre-workouts. But blood flow isn't just about the pump. It's about nutrient delivery during repair. A better vascular response means better rebuilding. And here's the metabolic twist nobody sees coming: insulin stability overnight. When you consume rapidly digesting protein powders or high glycemic snacks before bed, you can create blood sugar fluctuations that disrupt deep sleep cycles. Research shows that sleep fragmentation impairs muscle protein synthesis and increases next-day cortisol. Almonds contain healthy monounsaturated fats and fiber that slow digestion and stabilize blood glucose. Stable glucose supports uninterrupted sleep. Uninterrupted sleep supports anabolic hormone release. It's a cascade. Hormones do not operate in isolation. Testosterone, growth hormone, insulin sensitivity, cortisol, they interact in a delicate balance. Monounsaturated fats, like those found abundantly in almonds, have been associated with healthier testosterone levels compared to very low-fat diets. Extreme low-fat dieting has been shown in research to reduce testosterone production. When hormonal balance is optimized, muscle repair efficiency increases. This is not about eating fat for calories. It's about supporting the endocrine environment that determines whether your body prioritizes building or breaking down tissue. Inflammation is another silent limiter. Acute inflammation after training is necessary. Chronic systemic inflammation is not. Almond consumption has been shown in clinical research to reduce markers of inflammation, such as C-reactive protein in certain populations. Lower systemic inflammation means your recovery resources can be directed toward adaptation instead of damage control. That translates into better performance over time. Now imagine this scenario. Two individuals train equally hard. Both consume adequate protein. One relies solely on isolated shakes. The other incorporates mineral-rich, antioxidant-dense whole foods like almonds into strategic windows, especially before sleep. Over weeks, the second individual experiences slightly better sleep quality, slightly lower inflammation, slightly more stable hormones, slightly better insulin sensitivity. The difference each day is small, but adaptation compounds. 30 days become 90, 90 become a year, and the gap widens. Muscle growth is not a single switch you flip with protein intake. It is a symphony of biochemical signals. mTOR activation requires amino acids, yes, but it also depends on cellular energy status. Energy status depends on magnesium. Recovery efficiency depends on antioxidant protection. Hormonal pulses depend on sleep depth. Sleep depth depends on nervous system balance and blood sugar stability. Almonds quietly influence each of these layers. This is not about replacing protein, it is about amplifying it. When the internal environment is optimized, the same amount of protein produces a stronger adaptive response. That's efficiency. That's metabolic intelligence. And here's the psychological edge. Whole foods change behavior. When you shift from ultra-processed recovery shortcuts to nutrient-dense foods, you reinforce consistency. Almonds require no blender, no artificial sweeteners, no digestive gamble, just real food. And digestive comfort matters. Gastrointestinal distress from excessive protein supplementation can impair nutrient absorption and increase systemic stress. Almonds, when consumed in moderate portions, provide satiety and stability. The truth is, muscle is a byproduct of recovery capacity. Recovery capacity is a function of micronutrient sufficiency, inflammation control, sleep architecture, hormonal balance, and cellular protection. Almonds sit at the intersection of all five. They are not magic, they are foundational. Tonight, when you reach for a late snack, understand what's at stake. You are not just feeding hunger, you are programming your hormonal rhythm. You are influencing whether growth hormone pulses strongly or weakly. You are deciding whether oxidative stress lingers or resolves. You are choosing whether blood sugar swings wake you at 3 a.m. or whether your body sinks into deep repair. The gym breaks you down. Darkness rebuilds you. And sometimes the smallest nutritional shifts create the most powerful biological ripple effects. Muscle is not built with hype, it is built with chemistry. And chemistry favors the prepared internal environment. That environment can begin with something as simple and as underestimated as a handful of almonds before bed. You've been told that protein builds muscle, that the magic number is grams per pound of body weight, that the scoop is sacred. But here's the uncomfortable truth most supplement labels won't print. Muscle growth does not begin with protein. It begins with micronutrients. And if those micronutrients are missing, your protein is operating at a fraction of its potential. Every contraction in the gym is powered by ATP. Every repair process during sleep is fueled by enzymatic reactions. Every anabolic signal depends on mineral cofactors. And here's the shocker. Over 2 billion people worldwide are deficient in key micronutrients according to global health estimates. In developed countries, magnesium deficiency alone is estimated to affect nearly half the population. Zinc insufficiency is common. Vitamin E intake often falls below recommended levels. Yet we obsess over protein numbers as if the body is a simple calculator. It's not. Protein is the raw material. Micronutrients are the spark plugs. Without spark plugs, the engine doesn't fire. Take magnesium. It is required for over 300 biochemical reactions. It stabilizes ATP, so your cells can actually use energy. Without magnesium, ATP becomes biologically unstable. Imagine trying to build muscle tissue when the energy currency that powers the construction crew is malfunctioning. Studies have shown that magnesium status influences exercise performance, recovery, and even anabolic hormone levels. In athletes, higher magnesium levels have been associated with improved muscle function and strength output. Yet protein powders rarely contain meaningful magnesium. You can hit 180 grams of protein a day and still be operating with suboptimal cellular energy. Now consider zinc. Zinc plays a critical role in testosterone production, immune function, and protein synthesis. Research shows that even mild zinc deficiency can lower testosterone levels in men. Testosterone is one of the primary drivers of muscle repair and growth. Without adequate zinc, anabolic signaling weakens. But isolated protein powders often contain negligible zinc unless artificially fortified. Whole foods like almonds naturally provide it in bioavailable forms. Then there's vitamin E, a powerful fat-soluble antioxidant. Resistance training increases oxidative stress. Oxidative stress, when excessive, damages muscle cell membranes and slows recovery. Vitamin E protects those membranes from lipid peroxidation. Clinical research has shown that adequate antioxidant status supports recovery from exercise-induced damage. Almonds are one of the richest natural sources of vitamin E. A scoop of whey? Virtually none. Here's where it becomes metabolic reality. Muscle protein synthesis, the process that actually builds new muscle tissue, is not triggered by amino acids alone. It depends on mTOR activation, cellular hydration, insulin sensitivity, and inflammatory balance. Insulin sensitivity itself depends heavily on magnesium levels. Studies have demonstrated that higher magnesium intake is associated with improved insulin sensitivity and lower risk of metabolic dysfunction. If insulin signaling is impaired, amino acids cannot be shuttled efficiently into muscle cells. You could consume the perfect protein dose and still fail to maximize uptake. Now let's talk about inflammation. Acute inflammation after a workout is necessary. Chronic low-grade inflammation is destructive. Poor micronutrient status increases inflammatory markers. Magnesium deficiency has been linked to elevated C-reactive protein, a marker of systemic inflammation. Zinc deficiency impairs immune balance. When the body is inflamed, recovery resources are diverted away from growth and toward damage control. Whole foods, rich in micronutrients, help regulate that inflammatory response. Isolated protein does not. The human body evolved on nutrient-dense foods, not laboratory isolates. When you eat almonds, you're not just getting protein, you're getting a matrix of minerals, antioxidants, healthy fats, and fiber that interact synergistically. That synergy matters. Nutrients influence each other's absorption and function. Fat improves absorption of fat-soluble vitamins. Fiber modulates glucose response, minerals work in balance. A protein powder strips away that complexity. It delivers amino acids, but abandons the ecosystem required for optimal utilization. Here's a statistic that should stop you cold. Research published in nutrition journals has shown that large portions of the population fail to meet the estimated average requirement for magnesium and vitamin E through diet alone. That means millions of people training hard in the gym are likely operating in a state of subclinical deficiency, not sick enough to notice, not optimal enough to thrive. In that gray zone, progress slows, recovery lags, plateaus appear. Micronutrients also influence sleep quality, and sleep is where muscle repair peaks. Magnesium supports GABA activity in the brain, promoting relaxation and deeper sleep cycles. Deep sleep is when growth hormone pulses are strongest. Growth hormone supports tissue repair and fat metabolism. If micronutrient insufficiency disrupts sleep architecture, anabolic hormone release suffers. Again, protein intake cannot override poor sleep physiology. And then there's the hormonal cascade. Diets extremely low in fat, common among those chasing lean physiques, have been associated in some studies with reduced testosterone levels. Almonds provide monounsaturated fats that support endocrine balance. Hormones do not operate independently of micronutrients. Zinc influences testosterone synthesis. Magnesium influences free testosterone levels by affecting binding proteins. Vitamin E protects hormone-producing cells from oxidative damage. It's a network, not a single switch. Let's zoom out. You walk into a supplement store. Walls of protein tubs, labels screaming 25 grams, 30 grams, ultra-filtered, hydrolyzed, isolate. But how many highlight magnesium density? How many emphasize vitamin E content? How many discuss zinc bioavailability? The marketing machine sells the obvious macronutrient. The body requires the invisible micronutrients. This is not anti-protein, it is pro-completeness. The most powerful physique transformations do not come from excess. They come from sufficiency, from filling the gaps, from eliminating silent bottlenecks. When micronutrients are adequate, protein works better. Recovery accelerates. Inflammation resolves efficiently. Hormones communicate clearly. Energy production remains stable. Sleep deepens. Training intensity increases. Consistency improves, and consistency compounds. Imagine two lifters consuming identical protein amounts. One ignores micronutrients. The other ensures daily intake of magnesium-rich, antioxidant-dense whole foods like almonds. Over weeks, the second lifter experiences marginally better sleep, marginally lower inflammation, marginally improved insulin sensitivity. Each advantage is small, but physiology is cumulative. Small edges multiply. The truth is dramatic. You cannot outsupplement a micronutrient deficiency with more protein. The body does not reward excess bricks when the electrical wiring is faulty. It demands balance. Micronutrients are not glamorous. They do not trend on social media. They do not come in neon tubs. But they are the quiet architects of adaptation. Every time you eat, you are either supporting the enzymatic orchestra that rebuilds you, or you are feeding it incomplete instructions. Muscle is not built in isolation. It is built in integration. Amino acids, minerals, antioxidants, fats, hormones, sleep, all synchronized. And when you understand that micronutrients matter more than you were ever told, you stop chasing louder solutions, you start strengthening the foundation. Because the strongest physiques are not built on protein alone. They are built on completeness. It's not just what you eat that determines whether you grow or stagnate. It's when you eat it. Timing is the invisible lever most people ignore, yet human physiology runs on clocks so precise that a single disrupted rhythm can blunt hormones, slow recovery, and sabotage muscle growth before you ever notice it happening. Your body is not a 24-hour static machine. It is a circadian organism. And when you align nutrient timing with biological rhythms, the results are amplified in ways that feel almost unfair. The moment you wake up, your cortisol is naturally elevated. That's not a bad thing. Cortisol in the morning helps mobilize energy, increase alertness, and regulate your internal clock. But here's the catch. High cortisol combined with unstable blood sugar creates a catabolic environment. Studies show that erratic glucose spikes and crashes can intensify stress hormone output. If your first meal is ultra-refined or non-existent, you extend that catabolic window. Strategic morning nutrition matters. Almonds, with their combination of fiber, magnesium, and monounsaturated fats, slow glucose absorption and improve insulin response. Research has demonstrated that nut consumption can reduce post-meal blood sugar spikes and improve glycemic control. That means fewer crashes, lower stress signaling, and a smoother hormonal transition into the day. You are literally shaping your anabolic potential before noon. Now consider the post-workout window, one of the most misunderstood concepts in fitness culture. For years, we were told there's a narrow anabolic window that slams shut if you don't flood your system with fast-digesting protein within minutes. But emerging research suggests that muscle protein synthesis remains elevated for many hours after resistance training. The real goal isn't panic ingestion, it's strategic replenishment. After intense exercise, insulin sensitivity in muscle tissue increases. That's a biological opportunity. But insulin spikes followed by rapid crashes can increase fatigue and inflammation. Adding almonds alongside carbohydrates post-workout slows gastric emptying and moderates glucose release. Stable glucose improves nutrient partitioning. Amino acids enter muscle more efficiently when insulin signaling is steady rather than chaotic. The difference may not feel dramatic in a single session, but over weeks, metabolic stability compounds into better recovery consistency. And then comes the most powerful window of all, the night. Sleep is not passive, it is an active state of hormonal orchestration. Growth hormone pulses during deep sleep, particularly in the first sleep cycle. Research shows that sleep restriction can significantly reduce muscle protein synthesis and impair recovery from training. Even partial sleep deprivation increases cortisol and reduces insulin sensitivity the following day. The question becomes, what influences sleep quality, blood sugar stability, nervous system tone, micronutrient sufficiency? Consuming a small portion of almonds before bed introduces healthy fats and magnesium into the system. Magnesium has been shown in studies to support sleep quality by influencing GABA receptors and promoting relaxation. Stable blood glucose during the night reduces the likelihood of stress-induced awakenings. When blood sugar drops too low, the body releases adrenaline and cortisol to correct it. That can wake you up at 3 a.m. without you realizing why. Interrupted sleep fragments, growth hormone secretion. Fragmented growth hormone means compromised tissue repair. A simple handful of almonds before bed can act as metabolic insurance against that nocturnal crash. Circadian biology also tells us that insulin sensitivity follows a daily rhythm. It tends to be higher earlier in the day and lower late at night. But pairing carbohydrates with fats and fiber can blunt excessive spikes, especially in the evening. Almonds modify the glycemic response of a meal. Clinical trials have shown that adding nuts to carbohydrate-rich meals reduces postprandial glucose and insulin levels. That matters because repeated high insulin spikes in the evening can impair metabolic flexibility over time. Timing almonds strategically isn't random. It's leveraging chrononutrition, the science of aligning food intake with biological timing. Let's go deeper into the endocrine layer. Testosterone follows a diurnal rhythm, typically peaking in the morning. Chronic stress, poor sleep, and unstable glucose can blunt that rhythm. Zinc and magnesium, both found in almonds, are involved in testosterone regulation. Adequate intake supports healthy hormonal patterns. When timing supports sleep and sleep supports hormonal pulsatility, the entire anabolic cascade strengthens. You're not just eating a snack, you're protecting your hormonal waveform. There's also the psychological component of timing. Structured nutrient timing increases consistency. Consistency reduces decision fatigue. Decision fatigue increases dietary errors. When almonds become part of a ritual, morning mineral support, post-workout stability, pre-bed recovery, compliance improves. And compliance is the most underrated anabolic variable of all. Research on habit formation consistently shows that structured routines increase long-term adherence. Gains belong to the consistent. Now imagine two athletes consuming identical daily calories and protein. One eats erratically, spiking glucose at night, skipping micronutrients in the morning, and flooding the system with rapid sugars post-workout. The other times, nutrient-dense foods strategically, stabilizing blood sugar, supporting sleep, and enhancing hormonal rhythm. After a month, differences appear subtle. After 6 months, performance diverges. After a year, the gap is undeniable. Timing did not change total calories. It changed biological efficiency. There's a concept in physiology called nutrient partitioning, the body's ability to direct calories toward muscle rather than fat. Insulin sensitivity, inflammation levels, and circadian alignment all influence nutrient partitioning. Almonds have been studied for their role in improving lipid profiles and glycemic control. Better metabolic health improves nutrient partitioning. Better partitioning means more effective use of the same food intake. That's leverage, and leverage compounds. Every 24 hours, your body cycles through predictable hormonal patterns. When you align food intake with those cycles, you cooperate with biology instead of fighting it. When you ignore timing, you introduce friction. Friction slows adaptation. This isn't hype, it's physiology. The body repairs most aggressively during deep sleep. It utilizes nutrients most effectively when insulin sensitivity is optimized. It regulates hormones based on circadian cues. Strategic timing respects those facts. Almonds are not magical because of a single nutrient. They're powerful because they fit seamlessly into these windows. Morning stabilization, post-workout modulation, pre-sleep protection. Timing transforms ordinary food into a metabolic tool. And here's the final truth. Small, daily timing advantages create massive, long-term adaptation differences. Not because each meal is dramatic, but because biology rewards rhythm. Your muscles are rebuilt in pulses. Your hormones move in waves. Your metabolism follows a clock. When you eat in alignment with that clock, growth stops being random. It becomes predictable. And predictable growth is power.